that takes us to the middle of the
Let's do it.
project, which is Hatter. And Hatter Hatter was wild because when I heard Hatter, I was like, this is some creepy, wild shit. And I remember the beat is called
Mm-hmm.
Candyman. And I was at first, so going back to your earlier
Mm-hmm.
question, Dash, this was one of the songs where I started writing one thing and then completely changed it to
Okay.
something else. Because I was gonna do some like horror rap Candyman type of thing just because I heard the beat and saw the name and was like, I know exactly what he was trying to do with this
But one
beat.
thing though, but was it not the right name for the beat though? Yeah, the beat
Absolutely.
has that
It
vibe.
absolutely
It has that
was.
vibe.
Because even when it comes on, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it sound almost like Michael Myers is creeping up behind you. And you better be careful because when you trip over that log,
That's it.
that's your
But
ass,
I
Mr.
feel like it's some
Postman.
X Files in there, like type of. I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
something.
Yeah.
I don't.
I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. So originally, before there was ever a plan, that's what I was writing. I was writing like, all right, I'm gonna write some like horror type shit where I'm gonna try to flip it into like, maybe America's the killer or something, some crazy shit like that. But then we start talking about putting together this
Mm-hmm.
project, calling it Mad Hatter, and I'm like, I don't think I could do that song
Yeah,
anymore.
because it's probably one of the
And then
middle of the project. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, it's gonna be the middle when Mad
Mm-hmm.
Hatter's out. But I'm saying when it was first writing, I wasn't writing anything Hatter related because there was no Mad Hatter at that time. We were just this is back to like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I just got beats and I'm just listening to the beats and writing. And so I had like a hook and a verse, and then we decided we're gonna do Mad Hatter. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna bring this in. Maybe it won't make the project. And I don't think I even said that to you, Flip. There's just my thoughts that I was like, this might not be one of the songs on the project. And then, the project was coming together, and I was like, I gotta start incorporating Alice in Wonderland shit into this project because it's called Mad Hatter. And so I started writing in certain songs a line or two, a reference or two, but I just was like, if I'm gonna do a project called Mad Hatter, I gotta get into like the Mad Hatter bag.
Yeah.
And how the fuck am I gonna do that? And I didn't know. And so I just was working on other stuff. And I think I had maybe 4 songs or 5 songs by this time. I can't remember. We definitely had nothings. We had He's Gone Mad. We had Come Back Baby. We had those 3. Yeah, we had those
Mm-hmm.
3. And then nothing else was completed. And then I was like, I gotta just sit and watch these Alice in Wonderland movies. And so I watched all 3 movies again and started looking shit up and doing research and was like, I want to just OD and add a ridiculous amount of like Alice in Wonderland and Mad Hatter references into the project. And that was my idea. My idea was like, I got to be able to sprinkle this throughout the project. But as I started doing research and writing down notes, I'm like, I can't believe how much I fucking know about the Mad Hatter now. Like, this is stupid. Like, I know way too much about Alice in Wonderland, the trilogy, and like
That's dedication to
the
watch
Mad
all
Hatter
3 of them.
specifically.
Listen.
Yeah.
I mean, I had time, and I have a kid who loves this stuff too, so that helped. I'm like, hey kid, you want to watch Mad Hatter? You want to watch? I said Mad Hatter. You want to watch Alice in Wonderland? So yeah, so I had all of this information. I'm just like, all right, I got to figure out what to do with this. And so, yeah, I did start sprinkling throughout the project, but I was like, I think I could do a song just about Mad Hatter. And so that was it. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to start the verses till I had the hook. I normally don't do that. Normally, whatever comes to me, I just start wherever I
Mm-hmm.
start. But I was like, I don't, the hook is going to be so important on this song. And what was bothering me is that I still had that Candyman horror, quote unquote, thing in the back of my mind. So I'm like, I kept hearing the hook I'd already written for the other song to the
Mm-hmm.
beat. And I'm just like, what the fuck am I going to do now? And so it took me a while, but I pieced it together. And then I didn't want to repeat the hook. I was like, I don't think niggas is going to want to say futter whacking twice. Because I say futter whacking on your block. I'm like, I don't think niggas is going to be able to memorize that. Like, that's not an easy
Yeah.
word. And you're asking people to repeat it. I was like, all right, so I'm not going to repeat it. What am I going to do? So then I just had the 4 lines in the beginning of the hook. Custom suit, cause I'm the man, flyest dude in Wonderland. I had all of that. And I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And then I was like, I remember when I was younger, Days always used to say, like, yo, Jay, sometimes you be writing and your shit be flowing real smooth. And then you just completely stop and fuck it up. But you somehow make it work again. Like, and it's true, a lot of times when I first started getting into like flow and stuff like that, I would write some shit and like the first floor lines would be flowing crazy. And then I just stop and completely switch to a different flow. And I was like, oh, what if I do that? And so then I came up with the chant of, Hatter, 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 Hatter. And after that, I was like, I'm about to write this whole song, nigga. It's over. I was at work by myself looking around like, y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know furniture. It's about to go down right now. I'm about to write this whole shit.
That's the best feeling.
And then I just started. What I did was I had all these notes from all the movies and stuff. So I just put them in one notebook and I just started crossing off parts that I wanted to include in the rhymes. And it was like, all right, this happens. All right, I'm gonna include that. The mouse looks like she kills a bird in one scene. All right, cool. Oh, gotta include Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Okay, cool. Red Queen. And I just started writing and I just kept looking at the list and was like, all right, write a line. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna include that next. And then I just ran through all the references and I used all the shit I had written down somehow.
Listen,
And so
as long as it comes together.
that was that. Oh, so we got to get to an important part. I totally forgot. We got to pause and go back to Fool. So I posted that clip on Instagram and Flip was no longer in
Yes.
communication. We'll get back to Hatter because this ties to Hatter. So Flip was no longer in communication. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to just tag him and put it online. And I had sent Flip Fool that I just recorded and he never hit me back. And was like, yo, I'm going to hit you back tonight when I listen to the song. And so tell the audience when you finally heard this song.
Oh, for
Tell them when you finally heard Fool.
yeah, I remember when I played it. I was kind of stuck because I was more so listening to what you were talking about on the song.
No, but I mean when you heard Fool, like how much later on was it when you finally heard
Oh
Fool?
yeah, damn, it might have been
Cause this is a pivotal part of this
yeah, it might have been
story.
a couple. Was it a couple months or something?
It was like four
Yeah, it was
months
a couple of
later.
months.
Flip was
Yeah,
gone for
it was
4
a couple of
months.
months. Yeah, I had to take a little quick hiatus, and then when I heard it, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, all right. I was like, hold on.
4
I
months.
heard it. I was like, wait. I was like,
Yeah.
what's this? I was like, well, I like this. And then that's when that's when the homie Mike Black entered the like wifey say that's when he entered the chat. You know what I mean? I was like, oh,
Facts.
okay,
That's a
okay,
fact. So we got to get to that. So that's important here. So Flip was MIA for like 4
facts,
months. And I kept trying to figure out what the hell do I
facts.
do because we had a plan of like this is going to come out, this is how we're going to roll it out, this is what's going to go on, and then Flip was gone and I was left with new music he hadn't even heard that I'm like I don't even know if he's going to like this. I don't know if he's going to have critiques. I don't know what to do. And he just was gone.
Listen, you made the right call.
And
You made
so,
the right call.
thank
No.
you. I tried to just do like I was riding a bike and just keep
Mm-hmm.
pedaling forward. And so Hatter was written during the time of the hiatus. And so I say it ties back to Fool because yeah, shout out to Mike Black. I reached out to Mike Black, who I had a long-standing business relationship with, and we get in the studio and was like, "All right, yo, Flip is MIA. I need somebody who's reliable and
Facts.
professional and can get it done." And so we did, and we get in the studio, and actually, Flip and Mike Black know each
Mm-hmm.
other,
Oh,
which is why I say like
are you guys
crazy that
all linked?
later on.
And
Go ahead,
yeah,
Flip.
I met Days and Mike Black the same day. Like
Okay.
literally, yeah. I met them the same day. Because basically we went to
But in like high school.
yeah. I went to I'm a little bit younger than them, so I went to the school that they had graduated from, and they were there
Okay.
performing for us, and I was like, was this like a talent show? Like I didn't understand what was going on. And then when they came out and started performing, I was like, oh, I was like, these niggas can rap. I was like, who's these guys? And that's how we linked up.
Right. So it's funny because th- I don't know how much footage there is of it, but we're in the studio and Mike Black is asking like, "Yo, but why Flip didn't mix
Right,
this though? This is
right.
fire." Like, or there's another part where he's like, "Yeah, it don't sound like Flip mixed this beat all the way. I don't know why this sound is louder than the other sounds. I'm gonna try to fix it." And it was so funny because we just like because we don't know what to
Right,
say.
right,
Like Flip just not
right.
around. Dave's trying to reach him, he can't get through. I'm trying to reach him, I can't get through. And so now, fast forward, by the time Flip hears Hatter, the entire project is
Mm-hmm.
done, mixed and
Mm-hmm.
mastered by Mike
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Black. So this experience, and that's why I said we got to pause and go back for a second. This is where shit gets totally different for Flip and Flip's experience because Flip hasn't heard like half the songs
Okay.
and it's done now when Flip
Facts.
resurfaces. So so now walk us through that process. So you come back and I'm like, yo, the project is done XYZ. You like, oh, all right, send that to me. I say, all right, I'm gonna send it to you. And so tell us what happened when you start hearing all these records that you hadn't heard
Right.
before.
Well, I tell you this, it starts from building trust. Like, you know what I mean? Like just from past working experience that we already had. So when you sending me the
Okay.
songs, it's not like I'm sitting there worried, like, oh, I hope this sounds good. I just wanted to hear it. Like I was like, all right, let me see what we got. So I'm listening to them, and then
Mm-hmm.
now that you sent them all to me, I had an advantage because I was able to play them back to back to back to back, and
Mhm.
oh, I was like, yo, I was like, I like this mix of song. It was the first time that I really heard all the songs
Right.
together like that. And I
Yeah.
was like, what's the actual track list? Remember, I was like, what's the actual order
Right.
of these? Because I was like,
And I didn't know yet. I didn't know
yeah,
yet. I had two different
we had like three
options
different track
that I was messing
lists.
around with. Yeah,
Yeah,
three,
we had
right?
like three
Three.
different
Yep.
track lists, and I'm sitting there, and I had so many questions. I was like, wait, I was like, who mixed this? And I already kind of figured. And he was like, Mike Black. I was like, okay, copy. I was like, all right, but that made me feel good because I was like, it could have been anybody. That's why I was like, who mixed this? When she said Mike Black, I
Right.
was like, perfect. I was like, all right. So I'm listening. And I'm like, yo, he did a good job. So then you know me. Now I'm listening as an engineer, but then I'm listening as a producer, and I'm
Right.
listening. I was like, the first thing I listened to was I was like, did he make any adjustments to my beat? That was the first thing I thought of. I was like, let me see if there's any changes in the beats. I didn't really hear anything.
Right.
I'm listening, and that's when I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And it's funny because it's one track. There's there's an echo that used to be. I can't
Mm-hmm.
think of which song it is right now, off the top of my head. Every time I hear it, I still think of the echo, and it's not there, and I be like, damn, yo,
Ah, okay.
nobody would ever know. You know what I mean? No one would ever know, but I got so used to it. But he did a great job.
Right.
He did a great job, man. You know what I mean? Like salute to Mike Black,
Yeah.
definitely. He did a great job. But as far as the project itself, when I heard it, I was shocked because I'm like, damn, I produced all of these. Like, you know what I mean?
This is all me. Oh, he didn't kick me out.
Right.
Just he kept it with all
All
me.
right. I was like, all right, we moving. I was like, I like this.
Right. And then I start getting a flurry of text
Mm-hmm.
messages.
Mm-hmm. I like this.
I start getting the messages like, yo, all capitals. What the? He's
I
like,
think I put,
son.
yo, my apologies. I'm back. We lit. Yeah. Yeah. That
You start listening to shit. I'm like, okay, you back? Let me listen. All right. So I send it to him, and I remember I was hanging out. I was like going to dinner with some friends, and you was texting me and was like, I finally sat and listened to the project. I got notes. I got
I must have sent
feedback.
like
I'm gonna
15
start
messages.
going. Mad messages, and each one was like
Yeah.
paragraphs. You know what I'm saying?
Messages.
Like, on a text, it looked like a book. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? It's like, damn, the whole screen, but it was positive. It was like, I remember one of the things you said about Hatter was like, son, when I heard the chant and you start chanting Hatter, I lost it. And was like, I don't know what the fuck made you think of that, but I was just hype in the crib. I ran it back from the beginning.
Because it hits you at like the fourth Hatter. Because you realize like, oh, he's still chanting this. Like, you know what I mean? That's when you're like, oh, okay, I see where we're going. Like, that's when I was like, oh, this is fire. And then the beat comes back in, but the drums don't come in yet. That's when I
Right.
was like, oh, this is
And
intriguing.
started off with no bass, COVID
Yeah,
style, no taste.
yeah.
That's
Facts.
right. That's what inspired that line. I was like, no bass, no none. All right. Started off
That's
with no
I
bass,
just took,
COVID style,
I
no
just took
taste.
chances on that beat. You know, I took chance after chance after chance, and I was like, I like this. I was like, hopefully, like,
Yeah, and I feel like that's what's crazy because unbeknowing, like you wasn't around when I wrote Hatter, and I wasn't around when you made that beat. But like, look at the chances we both took in our solo creative process, and look at how it meshed
mm-hmm.
together. I always think that part is so interesting because I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? When I'm like writing to it, and you were not around, so it's just like this time there were no screenshots of. All right, here's what I wrote. It just was like, bam, mixed project. Dive in.
And Flip, you said that the Hatter beat, it's you were thinking X Files
Like it had,
when you
yeah,
made that beat.
it was like a horror version with like when I listen to it, I feel like it sounds like it has some of the X Files like theme music, but
No, I hear it.
dun, 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 dun,
Ever
dun,
since
dun.
you said that, ever since you said it, it's been running back in my
Yeah,
mind, and I'm like, I keep hearing
Yeah.
I've never saw an episode in my life. I just always knew the intro. You know,
yeah, and neither have I, but I know exactly what you're talking
right?
about. I know that exact sound, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I hear that too. I hear it
Yeah,
now.
it just worked out like that.
Yeah.
And then came, real quick before we move to the next song. Then came the real creative process of now I'm shooting videos, right? And it's like, yo, Flip, I know this is gonna be a reach, but I think I got a stupid, crazy, weird idea for Hatter. And I don't even really know how to explain it, but basically a green screen. And this nigga was like, woo! A green screen. Okay, nigga.
Yeah,
You make videos
yeah,
now.
Right.
yeah.
The cinematography.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm.
He said
I was like green screen. I said, okay,
he's
that's what I
right.
heard.
He said, oh, you make videos now. He said that should have I don't want to do videos is over, huh? I said, yeah, I mean, we here now, so we might as well do it. And nigga said, I like that. Can't wait to
Listen,
see it.
that was a great call, man. Like, just what if you could control it? Like, if you could be creative and like control your creativity in a way where things will work, why not?
Yeah.
Why
Right.
not?
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I sent it to you, a work in progress. It was just like the first verse and the hook. Like the video
Mm-hmm.
was like a rough draft. What you said? Remember what you said when you seen it?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was probably something along the lines of like, "What the hell are you wearing?" or something. You know what I mean? What
That
is
was the
going
first
on?
thing.
Like, I was like,
He
"What
was
the
like,
fuck?"
son. He's like, son, you deadass have a Mad Hatter costume on.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
what is
like,
up
"What
with
the
you?
hell?" And that's when I realized I was like, "Oh, this is." But that, like I said, the vision is still forming, and that's when you realize, like, "Oh, okay, it's starting to make sense."
Right.
Even though it's wild, it's starting to make sense though. It's like, okay, like I can explain this to somebody now. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
Right.
You
Yeah.
definitely committed to the concept. Was there any
Yeah.
point where you felt like, I don't know if this is gonna work?
Oh, the whole time.
Or once the vision happened, it was just it's
Not,
out of
I
this
mean,
world.
this project to me has been one of these projects where it was like, we are taking chances big
Mm-hmm.
time. Because yeah, I've done concepts before, but like Access Hollywood is just stuff inspired by media. So everything is explained in the song. So anytime a song plays in Access Hollywood, you hear what inspired the song. And so it makes sense. And like Expect Us, which is another themed project, throughout the whole project, you're hearing the theme, but even the cover art, you know what's gonna happen. And it was like heavy political. The hard part about Expect Us was balancing all of the political shit with other stuff. Because it was like, son, I'm talking about the government, the cops, a bill they're trying to pass, all this different super political stuff. It was like, you gonna need some fly shit to balance the scales. But the concept, I knew what I was doing, but Hatter is probably the most risky I've taken because it's not like I have a deal with Disney. In fact, if this gets too popular, Disney might try to fuck us up. So this is actually the opposite, where if the anonymous people who I was already rolling with at the time of Expect Us, if they love it, we out of here, which is what
Mm-hmm.
happened. But this is totally different, where it's like, this might not work. Number one, in the creative process, it was like, this could be a major fail. Yeah, we're saying we're going to put all of these songs together that do not sound sonically like they belong together. That might not work. It could sound absolutely terrible. And even when it finally all was recorded, it still was like, now we got to make sense of how to put this all together as a product. Like, what is this order going to be like? And that in itself drove me nuts. And that's why, like, by the time Flip came in, I already was letting other people hear it to try to get a gauge of like, yeah, what you think if this song comes on next? You know what I mean? To kind of see like what should flow into the next thing. Because Chris and Kia said they feel like one of the sequences, it flows really smoothly all throughout. And later, Flip would say the same thing, but I didn't even know if that was the right
Mm-hmm.
decision, right? Because it's called Mad Hatter. And I remember I said that to Flip. He was like, why do you have more than one track list? That's weird. And I said, because it's weird. Like, should it flow smoothly or should it be all over the place? Because it's called Mad Hatter. Like, the Mad Hatter is probably not putting on his pants and then his socks and then his shoes
I
and
get
then
it.
like he's probably not doing things in an order that make any fucking sense, right?
Yeah.
Like he probably don't go to the store and say, "Yeah, I think I should get all my groceries." Now he probably grabs a banana and be like, "All right, I'll be back," and then goes back and is like, "Oh, actually, I need apples." Like nigga, you could have did
Right.
this
In
whole shit in
one
one
shot.
shot. But he's nuts, and that's the point. So it was like, should it sound nuts? Should it sound chaotic? And that was kind of the conversation that we had, a couple of us, where it was like, I don't know what's gonna work here. Like, should it flow smoothly? Is it better if it's chaotic? Is there such thing as too chaotic? So to me, and today when we're recording this, the project is still not out. So maybe it won't work. Like we still don't really know. So like there are a few of us who have heard the whole thing and yeah, we like it, but who knows how it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
received in general. Like it's all a risk. It's all possible that people would just be like, yeah, I fuck with these three songs, but I don't know why I did this.
I feel that. Good.
So okay, so I know we didn't make it through the entire track list yet, but
That's cool.
how do we get to the point where you break up the songs? So we have Tea Party, we have Rabbit Hole.
Ah,
How do we
that
get
came
to that?
from. Go ahead. Yeah, so breaking up the project into three projects came from two things. One, now it's 2023. Actually, now at this point, it's
Mm-hmm.
2024, and we've passed the deadline we set for each other, right? We passed that deadline, and now also Flip is nowhere to be found. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Because I'm on my own in more than one way. And so I'm also thinking like today cats put music out all the time,
Mm-hmm.
except for like the huge artists. Huge artists could do whatever they want, but regular artists, they're dropping stuff every 6 months, once a year. Some people more frequent than that. Meanwhile, the last project I put out was 2021. And so I'm like, it's been 3 years. I'ma just roll out a project with almost no promotion all by myself. Nah, I think I gotta split these up and kind of create a slow cooking situation where we slowly roll it out and bring you to what really was the whole thing from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I explained that to Flip when he came back around, he was like, son, that's wild, but that's actually fucking genius. Like, that might really work. And I was like, I mean, I feel like it's better than just dropping a project out of nowhere on niggas. So yeah, that's how it happened. And choosing what songs went where was not really that hard once I knew the theme, because you already know the last one is Mad Hatter. So it's like, if the last one is Mad Hatter, just think about Alice in Wonderland, right? Like, what happens first? She falls through the rabbit
Mm-hmm.
hole, right? Then at some point, there's a tea party. So it's like, just think about the major parts people remember
Yeah.
about the first movie, which also I know after doing all this research and speaking to people and doing the songs and mixing the songs, I know most people don't even realize the Tim Burton movies are part 2 and 3 of the old 50s cartoon. So really, I just got to think about that first movie and how people remember it.
Mhm.
And that's why I was like, all right, so it's going to have to be Rabbit Hole, Tea Party, and eventually Mad Hatter. So
Okay.
that's how we get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great.
So
You the man for that. No,
what'd
I
you
said
say?
you the man.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I have nothing to
thank
say
you.
on that one. Like you the man for that one.
Thanks. I just was thinking about, like, the way things kind of
Mm-hmm.
happen today. Um, and it's just like, all right, yeah, to put out a project by myself of this kind of craziness, I don't think it's smart to just dump it on people. Better to just slowly roll it out. Um, yeah, and so uh, Lats is a really interesting story, which is the next song. We get to Lats, and I always got to include some politics in my raps, and so I decided I wanted to start a series, and so this is really part one. And so live at the scene, I wanted to do this thing where it's kind of like a person working for the
Mm-hmm.
news, kind of just reporting like, hey, here's everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was before I even did the video. When I did the video, I didn't even have the idea of like, I'm gonna act like I'm on the news for real. Originally, I was gonna take like this teeny tiny microphone I have and go stand in front of like some graffiti and do it. And then later on, I got this idea of like, yo, what if I act like I'm on the news? And then at that point, I was already editing videos and again hit Flip and was like, okay, I got another crazy idea. I think I could make the video look like the news. And Flip was like, what does that even mean? I was like, all right, I'm just gonna show you. Just wait,
Right,
I'll
right,
show
right.
you.
Yeah, I remember that.
So go ahead, tell your
No, I was gonna
side.
say I remember the conversation when you said it, and I was like, "You're gonna make it look like the news." And then when I saw it, I said, "Oh, we got the whole." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I see what you mean." Once I saw it, it made perfect sense. I was like, "All right, got
Right. Yeah. So that's Lats.